All right, let's take a short break, and when we return, it will be time to speak with the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council, Charles Aniagwu, on the governorship contest in Delta State. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council, Charles Aniagwu, for discussion on the governorship contest in the state. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Jumoke. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. All right, let's begin. As Commissioner for Information, you are an insider in Delta State politics. Tell us how the 2023 electionary campaigns are shaping up in your state.
For us in Delta, we believe that democracy affords every citizen the opportunity to express themselves, because the greatest ingredient in any democratic setting is the freedom. And that freedom could either be expressed vocally by individuals vocalizing their views or their position, or by way of movement, in which case individuals can afford to move from one group or the other, or one political party or the other. So once you have that free atmosphere, it helps to give strength to the principles of democracy, and that's what we have in Delta. And bearing in mind that our leader, the governor of Delta State, and the vice presidential candidate of the PDP have had a privilege of being in government for quite some time, and also having to be in the National Assembly, which of course is the greatest symbol of any democratic setting. He understands that everybody, even when you don't belong to his political party, that you do have a right to be able to express yourself. So on that note, different political parties have had the opportunity to interface with their supporters, seek more ways of getting more persons to also come on board, have opportunity of expressing their different intention to those who they are seeking to govern. But of course, you know, in Delta, PDP is more like in the DNA of the people, but that does not mean that other political parties are not trying to take steps to want to see how they can play, and play also in the bigger field. For us, we are one family, irrespective of the political differences that exist, but we will continue to plead with other political parties to know that being members of one family, you are very free to be able to express yourself, tell people what you want without having to lie or bring propaganda that will not promote the peace that we have in the state today. So in our state, we are quite comfortable that our people do understand that the PDP, being the ruling party, does have a whole lot of what you may call opportunities in terms of how much the party have done in adding value to the people, while the opposition political parties are also seeking ways of wanting to come in, and democracy allows that. So everything is going on smoothly. We allow everybody, unlike other states where they prevent people from even pasting their posters. You begin to see that those who claim they are popular, they are even afraid of just posters. In Delta, we will even allow you to campaign even in front of government house, because we believe that we own the land in terms of politics, and as such, anybody campaigning is free to campaign. But we do know that we have done so much to be able to enjoy the support of the people.
All right, talking about differences, the governorship candidate of your party in Delta State, and that's Sheriff Ibori, fought hard right up to the Supreme Court to retain the ticket of the party. What efforts are being made to reconcile aggrieved persons who took him to court and get everyone pulling in the same direction?
Well, let me also make it very, very clear that even going to court is also recognized by our law as part of the democratic processes. There are those who may have aspired. They had those who have also buried their own interest in their own ambition. And so when they are not able to win, those individuals are even positioned to either ask them to push forward because they are looking at their own interest. So those who went to court did not offend the law. That's what the law recognized, that if you feel aggrieved, you can proceed to the court rather than having to engage in other processes that could disturb the peace of the land. And that was what those who lost out in the primaries did. But everybody agreed that the primaries of the PDP was very, very free, very, very fair, and that most Deltans supported Ibori because, number one, he has got a grassroots support. Secondly, he has done well as the Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly and being the longest-serving Speaker in Delta State. And of course, the fact that he was able to interface with a whole lot of the electorate, particularly the delegates, ahead of the primaries. And thereafter, there are individuals who took up other issues, which of course we do not quarrel about because it's within their democratic right. But the Supreme Court was very, very clear that what they did was not sufficient to undermine the election and to also undermine the credibility of the candidate of the PDP in Delta. And so today, we have taken steps to bring them back. A whole lot of them have come back, and we are moving more like one family. It is most likely that you could have one or two persons who may have fought so hard and may not see the need to come and be part of the House. But in all, there are a number of other persons who have joined us in the House. That is when I mean the House, I'm talking about the PDP family in Delta. A good number of those who were also involved in that contest have also returned. There are a few that we are still talking to. But the reason why we had to do that is not just because of the vote alone, but because Senator Dr. Okowa led a Delta that is one. And so Oborowori is also very much interested in continuing, taking a look at his more agenda to bring everybody on board so that at the end of the day, beyond winning the vote, he's able to also get everybody to support him in delivering the many laudable programs that he has already outlined, that as soon as he comes into office to be able to sustain the development in Delta today. And so within the PDP, we are what you may say home and dry. We do hope that as we make progress, many more persons will also join the fold because they do know that that looks like where you have the greener pasture.
All right, Mr. Charles, we would like to go on the commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue this discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Politics Tonight, and I still have with me the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Charles Aniagwu. We're discussing governorship contest in Delta State. All right, Mr. Aniagwu, there is also this popular insinuation that there seems to be a sinister plot to stop Honorable Oborewori. Why is he attracting so much criticism and bad blood?
Well, those who want to stop him, of course, you know, they contested. They wanted to have that position, but the delegates chose Oborowori, and so you expect that they may want to put up a fight. But like I said earlier, a number of these persons have returned home. We are now moving as one because after the primaries, Oborowori and, of course, the leader of the party in the state, and that's Governor Okowa, took steps alongside other leaders of the party, including the chairman of the party, ACSO, to reach out to a number of persons. Meetings have continued to take place, all with a view to ensuring that they have a much more formidable family. So I don't want to believe there's any bad blood anymore. There were individuals who may not have been be happy enough. Of course, when somebody goes into an election or a contest and he loses, he was in that contest because he hopes that he'll be able to win. So you don't expect a man to lose and begin to clap or dance. And so all you need to do to mitigate the effect of the loss is to reach out. And that is what Oborowori and the leaders of the party in the state have done. To tell those who may have lost out in the primaries that you may lose today, but there's an opportunity for you to possibly win tomorrow. And that is about one Delta. Whatever idea you have, bring it on board. Oborowori is very accommodating. He's very much willing to work with all the persons, including those who contested with him. There are a number of them who are involved in the campaign trail. And even beyond that, Oborowori, as a grassroots man, is very much determined to ensure that everybody get their fair share. And that is what makes us a very peaceful state. So there isn't much of bad blood like you mentioned.
All right. I also know that the governorship candidate received a boost when former Governor Emmanuel Doyle backed him. But we have not heard from another former governor, and that's James Ibori, whom many consider the backbone of the party. Will Sheriff get Ibori's backing in this coming election?
Sheriff has already gotten our leaders backing. Ibori is our national leader. He has contributed to the growth of the party in Delta very immensely. If you also check in 2019, he was not so much out there, but he's one person who reaches out to people, those who understand how he works. He's not one who is given to maybe noise making or rallying all the time. That is not to say that rally is bad. So Ibori is very much in the house. He's supporting the candidature of Atiku and Okowa. He's also very much in support of Ibori. Don't forget that a whole lot of his allies are also in this election. But beyond the fact that his allies and members of his family are involved in this election, he's a key member of the PDP. He has contributed to the growth and the development of PDP in Delta. And so if anybody is thinking that he can afford to harvest our national leader, that person may need to go back and have another sleep and possibly dream in another direction. That's not going to happen because he's one man who believes that he has given much to the PDP. He has also benefited from the PDP, being a two-time governor of the state on the platform of the party. And so we are quite confident that as we make progress, his fatherly advice and his intervention, even at the back end, is going to help the party have a very, very wonderful outing in the course of the two elections that will take place on the 25th and then thereafter the governorship elections.
All right, so are you confirming to us that Sheriff has Ibori's backing?
Yes, very correct.
All right, so let's move on. Now, one matter being discussed on the internet and beyond is the alleged rift between the governor of Delta State and former governor James Ibori. I would like you to tell us what is the true situation, and are those two guys still chummy? Because the rumor mill actually has it that Ibori is considering working with the Deputy Senate President, Omo-Agege. Are you not worried that this kind of political marriage can badly hurt your principal and by extension his party, the PDP?
That marriage is only in the imagination of those who are consummated it, because there's no in-law to take the dowry in this that marriage you talked about. Ibori is the leader of the PDP in Delta. But of course, because we now have a governor by principle and by tradition, the governor of the state now becomes the leader of the party. But we see Ibori as our national leader. Don't forget that in 1999, he had the privilege of becoming the first democratically elected governor on the platform of the PDP. And he worked very, very closely with the present governor and then the immediate past governor, Emmanuel Udouan. It has been one family. PDP is one of the states where you had the three governors that have had cause to govern the state in the course of this dispensation, still belonging to the same political party, working together. And so those who are telling anybody in the public or out there that Ibori is looking in another direction, they are just telling stories for the purpose of exciting the ear. For us in Delta, we do know that he has always been a man of integrity and honor when you talk about these political issues. And we are counting also on that his fatherly advice and rule. And so it is not true that he's turning his back on the party. He is also maintaining a very good relationship with the vice presidential candidate of the PDP and the governor of Delta. And so for anybody to be thinking that Ibori is in a different camp, they may need to come and look again. Yes, it is quite obvious that in the course of the primaries, they had divergent views, which of course is allowed within the latitude of politicking. But thereafter, he has been able to understand that once you go into a contest, there will be a winner and there will be a loser. And so everybody, as I speak to you, Ibori's daughter is a candidate of the PDP seeking to represent one of our federal constituencies, specifically Ethiopia West and the East, in the Federal House of Representatives. And it's on the platform of the PDP. Today, she is also a member of the House of Assembly and chairman of the Appropriation Committee of the House of Assembly. And even yesterday here, we were all involved in a meeting where she was very much around. And so those who may be thinking that they are going to get the support in another direction, I can tell you that that's not true. I told you, let them go and sleep again. Maybe God will help them to dream another dream.
All right, so let's stay a little bit on this. A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed the request by PDP to disqualify the APC flag bearer, Omo-Agege, from participating in the March 11 governorship election in Delta State. Many say the PDP is jittery about Omo-Agege's rising popularity, hence the suit. How will you react to this?
I don't know where his rising popularity is. I don't know what that means. But in the case of a party going to court, that is allowed by our constitution. If you feel that your candidate does not have the requisite qualification to be involved in a contest, the democracy and our law permits that you should be able to seek redress in court. And if at the end of the day the court sees it differently, that is also what the law is. It means that the other person have been able to prove his case, possibly beyond what you are looking at. But I wouldn't know on the issue of popularity how popular he. Maybe he's popular on TV, but on ground, I can tell you that he's not popular for so many reasons. He represents Delta Central in the Nigerian Senate. In that Delta Central, for the few projects he has been privileged to be able to attract, even if they are still at signboard level, he just took all of them to only his community, not even his local government, just his community, and abandoned every other person in the other 7 local government and part of his own local government. So for that reason, even those he's representing are angry with him. Not to talk of Delta North and Delta South, where he does not even have a stronghold. And so I can predict that in this election, if he's able to see 2 local government in form of victory, then it means that his star is overshining more than we can imagine. But be rest assured that Ibori will defeat him hands down, and we're happy that the Beavers does not give room for any form of thuggery or any form of manipulation. So you will see the result, and you will understand that in our DNA, we have PDP. Secondly, another important thing that is working and going for Ibori is the performance of Okowa. When you see the development that have taken place in the 3 senatorial districts, whether in the southern senatorial district where you have a whole number of the creeks that were heeded to, not attended to, or in the central senatorial district where a number of bridges and schools have been built and hospitals, as well as the number of schools that we have established across the 3 senatorial districts, not to talk of what we have done in Delta North, where today, as our capital territory, is wearing entirely new look. For all this, the PDP has got what it takes to be able to win, so that anybody who even becomes the candidate of the PDP already has 50% that is standing on. And then when you now have a candidate like Ibori that also has what we call strict credibility, very much close to the grassroots, you already have another 25 added to it. Then in addition to the fact that we are reaching out massively, of course, you see that the remaining 25%, we should still be able to take as much as 15%. So thereby, because we are quite considerate, we may just manage to allow them have maybe less than 10% and let them make do with that, because we are brother's keeper. But be rest assured that Ibori will defeat Senator Omo-Agege hands down. And the history of Omo-Agege, you recall when we apologized on his behalf as a state government. The history in the Senate is not too palatable for him to be able to come back home. In Delta, we believe that people should represent us with a very high measure of credibility. What he did with the maize and the desecration of the upper chamber is not counting in his favor. And we will still take this opportunity to apologize to Nigerians for that particular act, because that's not who we are in Delta. We do hope that in the course of time, we will come back again and tender another apology on his behalf. Because when we voted for him to go to the Senate, we thought he would just go there and represent us with all sorts of responsibility and humility, and not to go and desecrate the hallowed chamber of the Senate, where I've had the privilege of covering as a correspondent for more than a decade.
Interesting. All right, let's discuss further. Governor Okowa has had nearly 8 eventful years as governor of Delta State. How much work has he done that convinces you that the people of Delta State will reward PDP with fresh mandates in the governorship, legislative, as well as presidential elections?
Each time we write exam, the persons who set the exam, first of all, look at what they call the marking scheme. So that even if the examiner is not around, whoever is marking the papers will take advantage of the marking scheme to be able to know how to award the marks. For us in Delta, the marking scheme is what we call the SMART agenda. When Okowa approached the people in 2014, he came up with a SMART agenda. That SMART agenda embodied policy priorities that tend to address 5 thematic areas. One is strategic wealth creation, which is aimed at bringing back the jobs and improving the economy of our people. The second one, which is the M, is meaningful peace building, which is aimed at also bringing about a peace and harmony among the diverse ethnic groups in Delta. The A is reforms in the agricultural sector and, of course, industrialization of that particular sector. The R is what we call relevant reforms in education and the health sector. And, of course, the T, which is transform environment through urban renewal. So when you look at these 5 thematic areas, in the case of strategic wealth creation, Okowa have directly ensured that made it possible for over 19,000 Deltans to become entrepreneurs. These 19,000 persons have remotely been able to also give birth to more than 100,000 Deltans, who today are entrepreneurs in their own right, and they are doing very well. And that is why our GDP have also risen much higher than what we met in 2015. Beyond that, the number of projects that we have executed in the course of time has also made it possible for us to be able to get so many other persons engaged, whether in the area of building bridges, the number of roads. We have built as much as 1,870 kilometers of road, not minding the more than 1,000 line drains that we have also built with a view to controlling flood and also ensuring that the roads last much longer than they used to in time past on account of a flood, having to wear out the shoulders. Then, of course, we have also done well in the agricultural sector, ensuring that most of our people return to the farms, particularly in the area of commercial agriculture, where we distributed a whole lot of farms and then established a number of agricultural settlements for our people to be able to have some form of impact on our people. Today, we have what we call Delta Gari, which is even being exported out of the state. We have also done well in terms of rebuilding our schools, ensuring that our hospitals are also rebuilt. We have been able to transform our environment. If you had the privilege of coming into Delta, you see what we have done to a number of our urban areas. In the creeks, where before now it was difficult to build roads, we have built hundreds of kilometers of roads, including building a floating market in a place called Oge-Edemigun in Warren North local government area. These are the reasons why you are now seeing that there's so much peace in Delta. If you have been in this country before 2015, you know that Delta for some time were always in the news for the wrong reasons. Nobody hears about destruction of pipelines anymore. It didn't just happen overnight. It is because we took away those projects that they were promised that were in the pipeline and brought it on the ground that people can now relate to them. The roads are now visible for people to traverse in the creeks. The hospitals are now there in the creeks. The schools are now there in the creeks. They now have a market that is of international standard. So why would they be looking for the pipelines to burst? And so when you also come to the upland and see the amount of roads, not long ago you saw the number of projects we commissioned, including a film village, the only film village in the whole of Africa, in the whole of Nigeria, in West Africa. We also built what we call the leisure park, a very big one for that with a zoo. And once you come in there, you can only say that government is working. And our people are very, very appreciative. They have also given us in return enough peace for us to be able to develop further. And that is why we have said that up to the 28th of May this year, we will continue to work. And we are working. They are seeing it. They are seeing that more projects are being commissioned. A number of bridges are being built. And so, my sister, there's so much to be recorded. And so if you ask us to score ourselves, taking a cognizance of that marking scheme I talked about earlier, you will discover that we are in the A region.
All right, Mr. Charles, so are you confident that these achievements and the ones you haven't spoke about are enough for your party to retain power in Delta State?
We are not only going to retain power, we will win more than we have done before. What Okowa has done will also affect the fortunes positively of the ticket of Atiku and Okowa. Our people in Delta are very, very appreciative. Very, very appreciative. When you hear him call Delta as call him roadmaster, it is not because he's a motorcycle. It is because he has been able to do so much in the road sector. They are also struggling, those who are in the sports sector. You do know that for quite some time now, Delta has always been #1 in sports. All that is because of the input of the state government. You have also seen what we are doing in entertainment. Today, Delta is the home of Nollywood. Why is it happening? Is it because we have the best of atmosphere in terms of climatic condition? No, it is because we have become the best in terms of creating an enabling environment for people to operate and survive.
All right, Mr. Charles, we're running out of time, but let me quickly ask you this. Many have accused the state government of borrowing to fund the PDP presidential campaign. What do you have to say about this?
This is political period. We do not begrudge them. They are very free to play politics. We didn't borrow to fund politics. In 2022, after a certain reconciliation with the federal government, it was discovered that about 240 billion needed to be given back to Delta State on account of shortfalls that should have been remitted to us due to the 13% derivation. But the Federation said it was not possible for them to give us the 240 billion at once. And because of the issue of fluctuation in the value of our currency and the fact that we have a whole lot of projects that we need to deliver to our people, we decided to embark on a discount process where we needed to take what you call a bridging finance, to be able to take part of that money for the purpose of delivering a number of these projects. And that we have done. We listed the projects. Today, as I speak, more than 9 of those projects have been completed. You witnessed that I mentioned a while ago a floating market in Ogoye. We have built the Film Village and Leisure Park. We have been able to build the Coca Bridge and Interchange. We have been able to conclude the Mother and Child Hospital. We have also built and completed the Advanced Diagnostic Medical Center. The work is ongoing along the Agwashuku Ugeli Dua carriage, and a number of bridges that we have built in addition to so many technical colleges. So those who are saying that we are taking loan to support election have not been able to see what to talk, how to stain us with anything. But be rest assured, my sister, that that's not what we are doing. What we are doing is to deliver projects. They expected us to stop so that we cannot score more marks. We believe that the more projects we deliver, the more it brightens our chances to be able to win the next election. The more we would have been able to write our name in the, left some remarkable footprints in the sands of time, which the opposition doesn't want us to do, because the more remarks we have positively, the more difficult it is for them to win. So, my sister, we are not funding anybody. We are just doing projects, and governance will continue in data up to the 28th of May this year, election or no election.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Charles Aniagwu is the Commissioner for Information in Delta State and spokesman of Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. We've been discussing the governorship contest in Delta State. Thank you very much for coming on Politics Tonight. It's indeed a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me, my sister.